We'll go ahead and dive right into these. So again, as I mentioned, I just kind of wrote all these down. I'm just going to go through them, take as long as I need, and try to rip through them pretty quickly. First habit, or excuse me, myth, fitness myth. Junk food makes you gain weight. This is something that a lot of people, when they're first trying to lose weight, will say to me. It's like, Logan, I'm cutting out all this junk food, and I feel like it's going to be really good for me. People often think that junk food makes you gain weight, gain fat specifically, but this isn't entirely true. Junk food just simply has a lot of calories, and as we'll discuss with a lot of these fitness myths, it's going to be calories in versus calories out at the end of the day. So, if your body is maintaining the amount of calories it needs to stick with a certain weight, as in, say, you burn 2,500 calories a day, and then you also eat 2,500 calories a day, your body's going to maintain weight. Whether or not you're eating junk food or whether or not you're eating actual good food for you, it's not going to particularly matter. So, junk food makes you gain weight. That's a complete myth because, as we just mentioned, you could still eat 2,500 calories of junk food. You're probably going to feel like crap and it's not really going to benefit much for you, but you're still going to lose weight or maintain weight, whatever your goal is. So, junk food makes you gain weight. Kind of on the flip side, myth number two, healthy food makes you lose weight. As we just discussed in this exact thing, if you are eating healthy food, that's great. It's going to make you feel good. But if you're still eating just 2,500 calories of healthy food and then you burn 2,500 calories a day, you're going to maintain weight. If you're eating 3,000 calories of healthy food, but burning 2,500 calories of just energy a day, you're going to gain weight, even though it's healthy food. Does not matter. You're going to feel much better. But at the end of the day, calories in versus calories out. Super, super crucial. This next one, this is super, super common. You can do an ab workout or specific targeted muscle groups to actually lose belly fat and lose belly weight. This is a myth. This is called spot reducing. This is something that especially a lot of beginners get into where they want to get a six pack. That's usually why a lot of people start their weight loss or fitness journey. They want to get a six pack. They want to be leaner. Unfortunately, just doing ab work does not actually lose the fat around your belly. You have to lose your fat holistically around your entire body. And this is from losing weight through a good diet, through eating less calories than you need. And as we just mentioned, calories in versus calories out. So if you're eating less calories than you need to maintain your body weight, and this takes time, trial and error, some calculators, you will eventually see your abs. I will say doing some specific targeted ab work can make them a little more defined and muscular, but not to the point where it's going to pop through your fat or even burn the fat around your body. So, targeted muscle work, and this is for your entire body. So, say you have excess fat around your arms or something, and you're trying to just do a bunch of curls, that's not actually going to burn any fat around that area. So, next thing, your metabolism gets slows as you age, or your metabolism slows as you age. So, this is something that people often talk to me about when they're getting a little bit older and they're like, oh yeah, it used to be so much easier when I was younger. I used to be able to eat everything I can, and now it's just like I put on a bunch of weight. It's my metabolism slowing, right? And this is somewhat true to some degree, but kind of the mechanism behind this, people think that it's usually just from basically luck of the draw, genetics, right? One of the biggest thing that actually happens though when you get older is you usually become more inactive. I'm not saying this is a good thing. I'm actually it's not a good thing. I'll be completely honest. It's a bad thing. But when you get more inactive, you don't move as much, and your body doesn't have as much muscle mass. Muscle mass is extremely metabolically active, which means that it burns a lot of the calories at rest compared to having just fat or even no fat and no musle. Your body's not really doing much uh, during rest to actually burn more calories. So, if your metabolism is slowing, I would challenge that it's probably because you are simply not maintaining enough muscle as you get older. You're simply not being as active, which both of these things can burn a lot of calories. and specifically having muscle mass burns calories at rest. So that is a great way to stop your metabolism slowing. It's not really anything that's, or for the most part, I will say there are some hormonal changes that make it a little more difficult, but that usually only happens when you get to around 65 to 70 years old, and then it drops off. Pretty much from like 30 to 60, 70 range, it's a pretty steady metabolic rate. So, all right, cool. Next myth: cardio is the best way to lose fat. And this is already going to get people triggered. So, cardio, when I say cardio, I'm talking about specifically like walking on a treadmill, running on a treadmill, doing a rowing machine. Maybe you're going swimming, biking, all these different things. It's a long cardio session. And when you're doing these, excuse me, sorry, my chair was messed up. When you're doing these types of exercise, you are burning a lot of calories at the immediate moment. But once you're done with the exercises, once you're done with the swim, done with the walk, etc., that's it. That's it. You're not going to be burning literally any more calories after that point. So because of this, I personally think it's a good addition to do a little extra cardio, not only to burn calories but also for your heart health. But you need to be weight training. As we just mentioned, weight training, once you build some muscle, that actually burns calories while you're literally sitting and doing nothing right now. Myself, I burn more calories at rest than somebody else who has less muscle because of the muscle mass on my body. It's a scientific fact. So if you want to lose more fat and lose more weight, highly recommend resistance training 3 to 4 times a week. That's a good place to start. And then you can add more over time. But building some muscle will burn more calories at rest and allow you to lose more fat. Super important. Next myth: bro splits are the best way to build muscle. So I'll explain what bro splits are in a second. But bro splits are essentially where you do chest one day, back the other day, legs another day. And these are programs that are usually found on like weight loss magazines or weight loss websites or bodybuilding.com websites, or some famous bodybuilder kind of touts them as the best thing. Unfortunately, though, these they're not bad, but they're not the most optimal, especially for beginners. If you're a beginner, I usually just try to get people lifting 3 to 4 times a week, ideally doing some type of full body. So you're doing a little bit of a muscle group every single day, and not really doing much isolation work. So you're not doing too many bicep curls. You're focusing mainly on doing squats, deadlifts, pulling and rowing exercises, and then if you want to do some curls or leg extensions or extra stuff, that's okay. But that should be in addition to your regular stuff. So this is kind of a nuanced one. I personally think it's a myth, but again, everyone's going to have their opinion. Next myth: training to failure is necessary. Training to failure is necessary. When you're talking about maximizing your muscle growth, training to failure is often touted as the best thing. And for certain exercises, you can get away with training to failure. But most of the exercises, again, that I recommend for beginners, as in our squats, our deadlifts, our big movements like pull-ups, etc., you shouldn't really be going to failure that very often. And the reason this is because your body gets a very large systemic load placed on it through your central nervous system. So your central nervous system takes a really big hit. So not only are you actually working the muscle, but you're training your entire nervous system to be able to fire the muscle better. And training to failure on these heavier exercises, the big compound lifts, actually takes a lot out of your central nervous system to do. Essentially, it takes a lot of time to recover from these. So because of that, most of the time you're doing these exercises, you should spend about, I'd say, seven, out of a scale of 1 to 10, about a 6 to 8 on a difficulty for most of those big compound exercises. Isolation exercises like hamstring curls, bicep curls, you can go a little more towards failure because those don't actually push you quite as far on the continuum of central nervous system load. So they're a lot easier to recover from. Okay, perfect. So next myth: certain exercise routines are better for XYZ individuals. I've seen so many programs like build a booty workout or a senior workout or, mid 50 male workout, all these different things. Certain exercise routines are better or more proven for certain things. I will say you need to have specificity in your program, but if a one simple program modality is like saying yoga, for example, is the best thing for everyone. That's the common flaw. Not one program is the best thing for everyone, or specifically something that everyone needs. Everyone needs what they want as a goal for fitness, and everyone needs what's specific to their life. So, if somebody doesn't really want to do yoga or doesn't really care about being more flexible, particularly, what's doing yoga really going to serve them? I'm not saying that yoga is bad necessarily. I'm just saying from my perspective as a certain program. So certain exercise routines are better than others. Yeah, sorta. It's kind of a nuanced answer. Just find something you enjoy doing. It's specific to your goals, and realize that that program isn't magic. Next thing, next myth: squats are bad for knees. Actually, the next two, one and two. Squats are bad for knees, deadlifts are bad for back. We'll actually encompass both these together. So, this is a common thing I deal with because I work with a lot of seniors and older adults, and they'll say to me like, "Logan, my knees hurt. I don't want to squat, or my back hurts. Like I'm scared to do that, or like my doctor told me I couldn't do this. I couldn't deadlift or do all these things or bend a certain way. It's going to hurt my body." And this is a really big common error, is because a lot of people think that certain movements are bad. And this is not the case. This is not the case. Usually, it's the case that people are doing the movement in a way that's not at their current activity level. So, if you are back squatting, for example, and you do a bunch of weight on the bar, maybe you've never back squatted, maybe you've never used weight, and afterwards you're like, oh my gosh, my knees hurt. Well, it's probably because the muscles and the tendons and ligaments around your knees were not used to that load. So were not used to the load, not used to maybe even the movement in general. And yeah, likely the exact same thing for deadlifts too. People Oh my gosh. Oh, I don't want to bend over and hurt too much. These are literally the reasons why people bend over and hurt themselves too much, is because they're not practicing these movements. They're not getting stronger at these movements. So then when the real world comes and say they have to help somebody moving, they have to bend over and get something off the ground and they hurt themselves, they immediately think of the exercise as bad versus they're probably just not strong. They're probably not strong in that certain position. So avoiding squats, avoiding deadlifts is probably one of the worst things, not only for your back, for your knees, and just your entire body. So please don't avoid specific exercises. Do them at your own level. Regressions, that's a huge thing I work with. I'll also mention another side note. I work with a lot of seniors. I don't avoid deadlifts with them. I don't avoid squats. Some of their backs hurt, some of their knees hurt, but we do squats and deadlift variations in a level that's works for them and doesn't cause any more excess pain. Because I know if they don't practice these movements, it's just going to get much worse for them. All right. That's a big one for me. That's a big one. Next myth: kids, seniors, and pregnant women shouldn't work out. So this is more kind of a play on like vulnerable populations, or people think that there's so many myths of like, oh, it's dangerous to work out if you're a kid, you're going to stunt your growth, or oh, if you're pregnant you're going to hurt the child. Senior, another example: you shouldn't lift, you're fragile. All these things completely false. And we're talking about working out, I mean mainly resistance training, aerobic training somewhat, but mainly resistance training. So lifting weights, resistance bands, etc. Super common myth. And here's the deal: just kind of like the last one, it's about regressions. It's about working within your level, what you can currently do. If you're a kid, you probably shouldn't be maxing out and doing stuff daily, but practicing a deadlift at a very light weight, that's you're literally practicing movement. At the end of the day, I think people forget that exercise is just structured play, and people are practicing movements just in a gym setting or maybe in a home setting. Pregnant woman, if you're pregnant, yeah, maybe you probably shouldn't be doing burpees when you're, three. into your third trimester and your baby's really bumping, that probably is very dangerous. If you go and do some machines that don't take a lot of balance and take a lot of overall effort, but you're still working the muscles, that's great. That's great. Um, One of the biggest things is when you are starting as kind of one of these populations is to get some help when you're first going. Highly recommend it just so you know the ropes, know exactly what you're doing. And once you get independent on it, you're free. My little brother, he's 13. I taught him some exercises. I taught him how to squat. I've watched him numerous times squat, deadlift, all these things. He can do it completely on his own now. And I'm very, very comfortable having him lift on his own. I wasn't initially, but I am now. Same for a lot of the seniors I work with too. Okay, next myth: working out takes too much time. Probably one of the biggest excuses that people come up with when talking about fitness, health, etc., is that working out takes too much time. And yeah, maybe for a very small amount of people. But at the end of the day, I always think of, why am I working out? It's to be healthy, it's to live a long, fulfilling life. So if I don't do these things right now and I'm so into my day to day life, I'm not going to be able to enjoy my day to day life or have that career in my day to day life, enjoy the time with my kids, my day to day life, if I do not take care of my health. So, one, that's kind of the mindset that I have. It's a priority. So, since it's a priority, finding time makes it much easier. Um, because if it's a priority, you're going to put anything to the side, or you will find time or quote unquote make time. So, usually when you are needing to find time for something, it's because you're not feeling it, you're too busy. If you're not feeling it or too busy, you just do it a little bit earlier in the day, do it a little bit later in the day. You find what works. Also, this is another thing, and I'll kind of pair this into the next question too. People think that you need to work out a lot to get good results, or working out should be hard. So the ACSM recommended guidelines, this is basically public health recommendations, is you should resistance train 2 times per week, every single muscle group, one set. So this could be go do pull-ups, squats, deadlift, etc. Just 1 to 2 sets of all those will set you good for the week, twice a week. In addition to this, 150 minutes of moderate physical activity. That could be a brisk walk, could be going on a bike ride, something to get your heart rate up. 150 minutes a day, or a week, I should say. If you break that up over 7 days, most people do maybe 30 minutes of a brisk walk or bike or swimming, 30 minutes 5 times a day, resistance training 2 times a week. The resistance training maybe takes 15 to 20 minutes. You're talking about a collectively 2 days, maybe 45 minutes of exercise. And then the other 3 days, 30 minutes. Uh, Not a lot of time if you're thinking about how much benefit you can truly get from it, and the fact that if you are actually able to get some results, get some benefits, and feel better, you're going to enjoy the other aspects of your life so much better. Um, in addition to this, the benefits from exercise, just to live healthy, you don't need to hammer yourself. You don't need to work super hard. We talked about that scale of 1 to 10 earlier on kind of difficulty or hardness. If you're only doing just your basic squats, deadlifts, etc., you only need to be going at about a 6 to 7 scale out of 10. It should be feeling the muscle work, moving it through a big range of motion, but you don't need to be killing yourself. It doesn't need to be feel, um, like you're breathing and panting super, super hard. Sometimes I think it should. It's good to get a little bit out of your comfort zone, but not every workout needs to feel like that. All right, perfect. Fitness tip. Number, I don't even know. I didn't number these, but we're just going along. Got a few more. I need to do X to achieve results. As in, I need to do something this exact way. And if I don't do it this way, I won't achieve any results. And this kind of comes to programming, as I kind of mentioned earlier. Some people thinking that one specific program is the perfect one size fits all thing for everybody. As we mentioned, that's not true, but also diet. So I need to eat keto. I need to cut out carbs. I need to limit sweets. I need to do all these things to achieve specific results in my fitness and health. And if I don't, I'm not going to achieve those results in my fitness and health. This is not the case. When it comes to anything fitness and health related, you need to be doing something in a way that you can stick with it long term, because the long term, day to day things, that's where you're actually going to get the results. That's where you're going to ultimately achieve the best fitness and lifestyle for yourself. So, thinking that you need to do something in a specific way is also not good too for mentality, because there's going to be some times where you're out, maybe on vacation, and you can't do your certain workout you're doing, or maybe you can't have your certain diet. Maybe you're going out to a birthday party and they have cake, and everyone's eating cake, and you're like, well, I can't have cake because I won't achieve my results. No, this is not the case. This is not the case at all. Again, it's consistency. It's about every single day. So if you are doing stuff every single day for your fitness and health goals, over the long term, eating cake on one day, so let's say, or just skipping a workout one day, it's not really going to matter. It's not going to matter at all. All right, next fitness myth. That person did this, so I need to do this to look like them. Let's say there's a bodybuilder who's doing a specific program online, and you're like, oh, they did that. They look super huge. Or this person told me that they got really good results from a diet, so I need to do it. Here's the thing, that worked for them, and that's great. It could work for you. I'm not saying it could, but at the end of the day, you cannot base stuff solely on if what that person did worked for them. It worked for them, that's great. You should try it for yourself. Experiment, see if it works. Some of what they're doing might work. Some of their diet, some of their lifestyle, some of their behaviors might work, but not all of it will work. And this is where just trying different things, trying different diets, trying different exercises is so important, because when you do this, you are able to craft that lifestyle for yourself. You'll probably hear a lot of people talk about fitness being a lifestyle. This is really what that means, is that it's something that is unique to yourself and that you can sustain for long term. Okay, next myth. Working out offsets unhealthy behaviors. This is a big one. People will think that if I go to the gym and run on the treadmill for an hour, I can eat whatever I want. Or if they go out and do any type of exercise, they're a marathoner, I can eat whatever I want. Your weight will very, very slowly start to creep up again. You cannot out train a bad diet. This is something that's said time and time again. Another good quote is, your abs are made in the gym, but revealed in the kitchen. As we talked about earlier, you can't do anything specific to spot reduce a specific fat source around your body. So, because of this also goes into unhealthy behaviors, as in eating poorly as well. So, you can work out as much as you want. Yes, it's going to feel great for you. It's going to give you some benefits, but if you are pairing that with another unhealthy behavior, such as drinking alcohol or maybe sleeping poorly, it's really not going to matter. It's really not going to matter. Fitness is a lifestyle. We just talked about this. It needs to be a collective, holistic thing that you try to do slowly over time. Doesn't need to be everything. Um, Okay, next myth. If you miss a workout, all progress is lost. Oh my goodness gracious. This is something that even myself, being in fitness and health for about 10 to 15 years now, I struggle with, because I think like, oh, I'm super soft if I skip a workout. Here's the deal. When you work out, your body gets a certain load placed on it. And if you never give yourself time to recover and rest, your body's never going to be able to adapt. The whole purpose of working out is to give ourselves a load so then we adapt and build muscle, get stronger, get fitter. If we never give ourselves specific time to rest and recover, as in have specific rest days or quote unquote missing a workout, we're never going to build more muscle, do all these things. I think this is very, very common when people are trying to lose weight, is that they think when they miss a workout, they're going to gain all that fat. This again is not the case. So long as you are not eating a large amount of food on those workout days or loss days, it's not really going to matter at the end of the day. Missing one workout, all progress will not be lost. And in fact, if you are somebody who is consistently working out, this will probably benefit you, because you body needs time to recover. Myself, I could probably use more rest days, but I enjoy working out, so it's kind of hard to say no to all of them all the times. So if you miss a workout, not all progress will be lost. Myth number, this would be 18. So you need supplements. You need supplements to, I should say, achieve, etc. No, this isn't the case. People will often be sold supplements all the time when they are, let's say, for example, going on those bodybuilding magazines we talked about earlier. People will see these people taking creatine or taking protein powder and like, oh, they look huge, so I need to take those supplements to get those things. Those people look a certain way because they're one on steroids, two have been lifting a really long time, or three do another of ultimately a bunch of other things as well. So that's a big thing. Those people are selling you supplements based off of something that they do specifically that aren't related to supplements. The best way to get results isn't from supplements, it's from long term work, finding lifestyle patterns that are good for you and good behaviors. That's going to be one of the biggest things. You don't need supplements long term. Yeah, you could dabble in it. I actually like protein powder just because I like the taste of it. Sometimes I enjoy it to just get a little extra protein, but at the end of the day, it's not required. It's not something I need. Um, I just like it, and it's very convenient. But none of these things you need, unless your doctor tells you. I should say. Uh, but even then, you should still do it in your own research. If something hurts, you shouldn't do more. Fitness myth. If something hurts. So, this is something when people talk about if you have knee pain, it's like, I shouldn't do squats because I have knee pain. Or I hurt my back when doing deadlifts, so I shouldn't move at all. One of the good quotes I like is motion is lotion. If you are just sitting and doing absolutely nothing for a really long term, that muscle is going to not only get more stiff, it's going to get stiff and weak at the same time. And if you have a stiff and weak muscle, that's where a lot of people have pain. That's where a lot of people have stiffness and stuff that hurts on their body. So, I'm not going to say if your knees are hurting really bad, you should just literally go through it and squat everything. But if it is hurting a little bit and you can do some light squats and that makes it feel better, highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. That is one of the best things you can do. Move your joints as much as possible because that promotes blood flow to that area. That promotes some increased nutrient delivery to that area. And if you don't move joints, they're going to die, literally die, deteriorate. All right, last thing. If I hurt myself doing an exercise, I should avoid that exercise. We kind of talked about this, touched on it a few different things. In my personal opinion, not all exercises are bad. Actually, most exercises are pretty good for most individuals. And if you quote unquote hurt yourself doing an exercise, here's the deal. You have no idea if that exercise was the reason why you actually hurt yourself. You could have hurt yourself because you slept bad the night before and your body wasn't recovered. You could be eating poorly and your body's not recovered. Potentially, you did another exercise earlier. Maybe nothing at all. Maybe your body just was fed up that day and it just is what it is. You should not pinpoint specific exercises as being bad because, again, as I just mentioned, one, you can't exactly pinpoint if what that did actually caused the harm, caused the issue. Uh, what did I mention? Yeah, that's kind of the biggest thing. So these are 20 common fitness myths that I think people do and talk about. I might go over this again